Captain Elias Drake tightened his grip on the control panel of his small exploration ship, the Pioneer. The planet below shimmered under the light of a distant sun. Its sky was not blue like Earth's, but a swirl of green and violet, with streaks of silver clouds that seemed to glow from within. Elias's heart raced. He had traveled through dozens of star systems, but this world, designated Zyphira 9, felt different. Alive. Almost. Watching him, he glanced at the readouts. Oxygen levels were slightly higher than Earth's, temperatures mild and gravity close to what he was used to. Perfect conditions for a first step outside his ship, yet there was a tension in the air. A subtle hum he could feel in his bones. His instincts told him caution, but his curiosity screamed louder. "Okay, Drake," he muttered to himself. "This is what we trained for." He activated the landing thrusters. The ship descended through the shimmering atmosphere, the ground becoming clearer. Strange plants with luminous leaves and twisting vines stretched in all directions. The colors were so vivid they almost seemed to pulse with life. The landing was smooth. Elias exhaled, unclenching his hands. For a moment, all he could do was stare. The landscape was unlike anything humanity had ever seen. Crystalline formations jutted from the ground, catching the sunlight and scattering rainbows across the terrain. Rivers of silver-blue liquid curved through the valleys, reflecting the strange sky. He switched off the engines and opened the hatch. The air smelled fresh, earthy, and slightly metallic. Elias stepped out, the ground crunching softly beneath his boots. He moved slowly, scanning the horizon with his sensors. The planet was silent, yet he felt it alive. The plants responded to his presence, their glow intensifying when he walked near them. Elias stopped to observe a cluster of towering flowers. They shifted slightly, almost as if bowing to him. He crouched to examine them, taking samples carefully. "This is incredible," he whispered. Every fiber of his being thrilled at the discovery. Humanity had never seen anything like this. But then a movement caught his eye. Not in the plants, but beyond them, on a distant hill. A figure tall and slender watched him. Elias froze. His heart skipped a beat. The readings showed nothing unusual. No movement, no heat signature. Yet he knew someone was there. "Hello?" he called, his voice steady but cautious. "This is Captain Elias Drake. I mean no harm." The figure did not move. It did not respond. Yet there was a presence, calm and intense, that seemed to press against his mind. He felt a strange chill. The first real unease he had felt on this mission. Elias knew he had a choice. Retreat to the ship or continue forward. His curiosity, his human instinct to explore, pushed him onward. He took careful steps toward the hill. Every part of his training screamed for caution, but there was something almost magnetic about the figure. As he drew closer, he noticed details. The figure was humanoid, but unlike any human he had ever seen. Its skin shimmered faintly, reflecting the colors of the planet. Its posture was elegant, almost regal, and though he couldn't yet see the face, he felt intelligence behind those eyes. Elias stopped at a safe distance. "I am a friend," he said aloud. "I come in peace." The words felt strangely inadequate, even to him. How could he express peace to a being that was so clearly different? Then the figure stepped forward. Elias caught his first glimpse of the face. Eyes, large and luminous like pools of liquid light, stared at him. They were beautiful, but not human. The being's features were delicate, perfect in a way that was unfamiliar but not frightening. The figure raised a hand slightly, a simple gesture, and Elias felt a wave of calm wash over him. He took another step closer, still cautious. "Do you understand me?" he asked. The figure did not speak. And yet somehow Elias heard the words in his mind. "So, you're the one." He stumbled slightly, the words echoing in his thoughts. "The one?" he whispered, voice trembling. "What do you mean? What are you?" The being tilted its head slightly, studying him as if weighing his worth. Elias realized that every instinct he had, every thought he had ever relied on, was being tested, not by danger but by understanding. The planet itself seemed to hold its breath. Elias took a deep breath, reminding himself why he was here. Humanity had always been curious. Humans had always been brave. And humans, he thought with a surge of pride, had always adapted. He squared his shoulders and spoke again, louder this time. "I am Captain Elias Drake. I represent Earth. I am here to learn, not to harm." The being paused. Then slowly it gestured toward Elias's helmet. Elias froze. Was it a request? A command? Removing his helmet on an alien world could be fatal. But the being's eyes, they seemed to invite trust, not fear. He hesitated, every scenario flashing through his mind. But he remembered humanity's greatest strength, courage paired with caution and the ability to act even when outcomes are uncertain. He unclipped his helmet. The air was breathable, fresh, and slightly sweet, carrying hints of metallic minerals. Elias took a cautious breath. The being's expression softened, almost like a smile. Elias could not speak fast enough to express his relief and awe. For the first time, he felt completely exposed, not just physically, but to the weight of first contact, to the unknown. Yet the fear was tempered by fascination. Humanity had reached this moment because humans dared to explore. And now, standing on this strange world, Elias realized that humans might be more remarkable than even he had imagined. The figure stepped closer, its movements smooth and graceful. "You are," it said again, this time the voice almost audible in Elias's ears, though no sound had been made. "You are the one we have awaited." Elias's mind raced. "Awaited by your people?" A soft nod. The alien woman's gaze did not leave his face. He felt for the first time that the universe was larger than any map, any chart, any sensor could reveal, and that humans, small, fragile, but endlessly curious humans, might have a place in it that was more important than anyone had dared to dream. Elias knew one thing with certainty. His mission had just changed. What had begun as exploration was now something far more significant. The alien's eyes, glowing softly in the strange light of Zephyra 9, promised revelations, challenges, and a connection that could alter humanity's future forever. And standing there, breathing the alien air, Elias Drake understood the weight and wonder of being the one. He had arrived. Humanity had arrived, and the adventure was only beginning. The strange light of the alien planet bathed Captain Elias Drake in soft colors. He still stood without his helmet, his heart beating fast. Across from him, the alien woman's glowing eyes stayed locked on his. She was tall, graceful, and calm, like she belonged to the land itself. The plants around them swayed gently even though there was no wind. Elias kept his hands where she could see them. I don't understand what you mean," he said slowly. "The one? The one for what?" The alien woman tilted her head. Her skin shimmered like liquid silver mixed with pale gold. Her eyes pulsed faintly as though they were breathing light. She took a slow step forward. Elias could feel something in his mind, like a whisper but softer than words. "You are the one who crossed the dark," the whisper came. "You are the one who came alone." Elias blinked hard. "Telepathy," he muttered. "You're speaking in my head." She inclined her head slightly. "Yes, we share thought. It is easier than your words." Despite the wonder of the moment, Elias remembered his training. He had to remain calm, had to show he was peaceful. "I'm here as an explorer," he said aloud, still speaking with his voice because it grounded him. "I represent Earth, my home planet. I want to understand you. I don't want to harm you." The alien woman seemed to consider his words. The whisper in his head softened. "We have waited long. Many came before." "None were like you, waited?" Elias asked. How do you even know about us?" She gestured toward the shimmering horizon. "We see far. We listen to the stars. We know the small blue world and the ones who dream there." Elias tried to steady his breathing. This was bigger than anything in the mission plan. His entire life as an explorer, every training session, every flight had led him to this. Humanity had wondered if it was alone. Now here was proof, and she was saying they had waited. "Why me?" he asked quietly. The alien woman did not answer right away. She walked past him, her feet barely pressing the soil. Plants bent gently where she moved. She stopped at a crystal formation that jutted up like a cluster of giant diamonds. She touched it with long, elegant fingers, and it lit up with soft white light. Elias watched, trying to take in every detail. His suit's sensors blinked rapidly, overwhelmed by the energy field surrounding the crystal. "Is this technology?" he asked. She turned her glowing eyes back to him. "Not technology, life. Our world is alive. It remembers." "Remembers what?" "Your kind." Elias stepped closer, drawn in. "You've seen humans before?" The whisper became more focused now, almost like a voice. "Long ago, before your kind could cross the dark, one came. A dreamer. We called him the first traveler. He left a mark. We have watched since. We waited for another who carries the same spark. Elias's throat felt dry. "And you think that's me?" She nodded slowly. "Yes. You are the one." Silence stretched between them. The air smelled of minerals and flowers. The silver river nearby made a faint musical sound. Elias felt the weight of history pressing on him. He decided to take a step forward. "If I am the one, then tell me what I'm supposed to do," he said softly. The living hall of the Illyrian city rose high above Captain Elias Drake, like the inside of a glowing seashell. Pale light moved along its curved walls, shifting gently like waves. The air smelled fresh, like rain on warm stone. It was silent but not empty. Elias could feel hundreds of unseen eyes watching him. Sarai walked ahead with slow grace. She seemed at home in this great chamber, her glowing eyes calm and steady. Elias followed, each step echoing softly. His heart beat fast. He was deep inside an alien city, farther than any human had ever been. They came to a wide platform made of smooth, living material. It pulsed faintly under his boots. Sarai stopped at its center. Above them, strands of light hung from the ceiling like giant roots, moving slowly as though stirred by some unseen current. Elias looked up. "Is this thing alive too?" he asked quietly. "Yes," Sarai said aloud this time. Her voice was clear but soft, like water over glass. "This is the core hall. It remembers all things." Elias took a slow breath. He could feel something pressing against his thoughts, not a voice but a presence. He remembered what Sarai had said earlier. "You must see. You must understand. Then you must choose." He squared his shoulders. "I'm ready," he said. "Show me." Sarai raised her hands toward the strands of light. They shifted color, from white to deep blue, and then a soft hum filled the hall. Elias felt the floor under him warm slightly. His vision blurred for a heartbeat. Then the world opened. Images poured into his mind like a stream. He saw stars forming, great rivers of light and shapes moving between them. He saw a blue planet, Earth, and spinning in space. He saw the first human spacecraft rising into orbit, saw centuries of progress flash by like moments, and then he saw a shadow spreading across the galaxy, a dark wave with no clear shape, moving slowly but endlessly toward the heart of inhabited space. Elias gasped and stepped back, pressing a hand to his temple. What is that?" Sarai's voice came softly inside his mind. "That is why we waited. The veil approaches. It eats light. It eats thought. We cannot stop it alone." Elias tried to focus. "The veil?" "Yes, it began far away, beyond our knowing. It moves between galaxies, feeding on energy and mind. Long ago, it touched the edge of our star systems. We slowed it, but we did not end it." Images shifted again. Elias saw Illyrian ships, beautiful, living vessels of light, standing against the dark wave. He saw them scatter like sparks. He felt their desperation, their need for something more. "You fought it," Elias said, voice low. "But you couldn't win." Sarai lowered her hands. The images faded. The hall returned to soft light. "We fought," she said quietly. "We built walls of energy and thought. We sang our knowledge to the stars. Still it comes." Elias swallowed hard. "So you waited for a human?" Sarai's glowing eyes held his. "We waited for a mind like yours. Not because you are stronger. Not because you are faster. Because you are different," Elias frowned. "Different how?" "You do not always follow the path. You adapt, you risk. You imagine what does not exist. We have watched your kind. We saw the first traveler long ago. He helped us for a short time. But your world was not ready then. Now it is." Elias stared at the floor, then back at her. "You're saying humanity might stop this thing?" Sarai's expression softened. "Not humanity alone. But humanity can begin the change. You carry the spark of choice." He paced a few steps, his boots tapping softly. He had dreamed of being the first human to meet aliens. He had never imagined being told he was some kind of key to saving the galaxy. "Why me?" he asked finally. "I'm just one man." Sarai looked at him gently. "Because you came alone when others would not. Because you took off your helmet when others would hide. Because you listened before you spoke. These are small signs, but they are true." Elias stopped pacing. Her words stirred something deep inside him. He thought of the long journey from Earth, the endless hours in deep space, the courage it had taken to step onto this strange planet. Maybe she was right. Maybe it wasn't about power, maybe it was about willingness. He took a deep breath. "All right. Let's say I believe you. What do you want me to do? Sarai gestured toward a narrow passage leading out of the hall. First you must see the archive, she said. There you will learn the shape of the veil and how it may be undone. Elias followed her through the passage. It opened into a long chamber lined with translucent pillars. Inside each pillar swirled patterns of light like frozen storms. The floor beneath them glowed with faint paths guiding their steps. This is our memory, Sarai said softly. Every thought, every discovery, every mistake. We keep it here so it cannot be lost. Elias walked slowly between the pillars, eyes wide. He could feel the weight of knowledge pressing down on him. It's like a library. Yes, Sarai said, but it is alive. It can teach you directly. Elias stopped at one pillar. Within it floated an image of the dark wave, the veils moving across stars. He reached out but did not touch. How do I learn from it? Place your hand here, Sarai said, pointing to a glowing mark on the base. It will share only what you can hold. Elias hesitated for a moment, then pressed his palm to the mark. A gentle pulse moved up his arm. His mind filled with images again, but this time more focused. He saw how the veil consumed energy not just as matter but as thought. He saw equations, patterns, and shapes. He saw how the Illyrians had tried to trap it, but each trap became fuel for its growth. He pulled his hand away, breathing hard. It's alive, he whispered. But not alive like us. It's like hunger shaped into a wave. Sarai nodded slowly. Yes, we call it hunger without end. Elias wiped sweat from his brow. How do you fight something like that? Sarai's eyes glimmered. You do not fight it as you fight a beast. You change the song it follows. You redirect. You reimagine. He stared at her. And you think humans can do that? We hope, Sarai said softly. You are not bound by our patterns. You dream differently. Perhaps that is enough. They left the archive and stepped onto a balcony overlooking the living city. Below, Illyrians moved through glowing streets. Their bodies shimmered like soft light, their movements slow and deliberate. Elias felt dozens of their minds brushing his, curious but not hostile. Sarai rested a hand on the balcony rail. We will teach you what we know, she said. But the way forward must be yours. Elias stared out at the city, trying to absorb everything. He felt small but also strangely alive. The sky above shifted to deeper violet as the planet's sun dipped lower. He turned to Sarai. If I do this, if I try, what happens to me? You will see more than you ever imagined, Sarai said, and you will be changed. But you will not be alone. Elias took a slow breath. His whole life had led to this moment. All right, he said finally. Teach me. Sarai's eyes brightened like two small suns. Then come, she said. Tonight you rest. Tomorrow we begin. As they descended from the balcony back into the heart of the city, Elias felt a strange sense of destiny. He had come to explore a planet. He had found a civilization, a threat, and a purpose. He was still afraid. Only a fool would not be. But under the fear burned a steady flame of resolve. Humanity had always stepped into the unknown. Now he would do the same, not just for himself, but for everyone. Far above, the stars of Scifi 9 blinked in the violet sky. Somewhere beyond those stars, the veil was moving closer. Elias knew time was running out. But for the first time since landing, he felt ready. The alien woman who had greeted him on the plains, who had whispered into his mind, now walked at his side like a guide. Together they moved deeper into the city of light, toward a future neither species could yet see. The morning light on Scifi 9 was soft and silver. Captain Elias Drake woke inside a round chamber that felt more like a living organism than a room. The walls were smooth and warm, pulsing faintly as if they were breathing. The bed beneath him adjusted to his shape, holding him gently. He had slept deeply but dreamed of stars, of waves of darkness, and of Sarai's glowing eyes. When he opened his eyes, Sarai was waiting near the doorway. She wore a flowing garment that shimmered with tiny sparks of light. You are awake, she said softly. Today you will begin. Elias sat up and rubbed his face. Begin what? He asked, even though he already guessed. The trials, she said. To join our effort, you must pass them. They are not contests of strength, but of mind, spirit, and choice. They will show you and end us in what you are. Elias stood slowly. His heart raced, but not with fear. This was why he had come, why he had stepped out of his ship and removed his helmet. All right, he said. I'm ready. Sarai led him through winding passages that opened into the main city. The streets below curved like flowing rivers glowing underfoot. Illyrians moved through them, silent and graceful. Some paused to look at Elias, their luminous eyes curious but kind. For the first time, Elias did not feel like a stranger. He felt like a guest about to be welcomed properly. They arrived at a tall spire at the center of the city. It twisted upward like a growing plant, its surface covered with soft blue patterns. At the base stood an archway of living crystal. Sarai gestured toward it. "This is the gate of thought," she said. "Once you enter, the city itself will guide you." Elias took a deep breath and stepped through the arch. The air shimmered. The ground beneath him changed from solid crystal to a smooth, reflective surface. The city sounds faded until there was only silence. Sarai's voice echoed faintly. "You are inside the first try?" The city of Zephyra 9 glowed like a cluster of stars under the twin moons. Captain Elias Drake stood at the balcony of the high spire, where he had passed the trials. The Illyrians were still singing below, their voices a low hum that vibrated in his chest. It was the sound of hope, but also of fear. The veil was coming closer with every day. Sarai appeared beside him carrying a thin crystal tablet that projected moving patterns of light. "This is the map of the veil's path," she said quietly. "It has already consumed 3 systems since you arrived." Elias stared at the swirling pattern. "It's like a tide," he murmured. "But tides can be redirected." Sarai tilted her head. "We have tried to redirect it for centuries. We built barriers of energy. We tried to cut its path with weapons. Nothing worked." Elias rubbed his chin. "Maybe you've been fighting it on its own terms. Maybe we need to change the terms." Sarai studied him with calm curiosity. "Explain." "Humans are good at improvising," he said. "We don't always build the strongest walls. We build the strangest tools. We think sideways." Sarai's eyes glowed a little brighter. "Sideways thinking," she repeated. "Show me." They went inside the spire to a round chamber filled with Illyrian scientists. The room felt alive. Glowing vines climbed the walls and orbs of light floated above polished stone tables. The Illyrians looked up when Elias entered, their eyes reflecting faint blue fire. Some were doubtful, others hopeful. He had passed the trials, but now he would have to prove that passing tests was not the same as saving worlds. Sarai raised her hand. "This is the human," she said. "He solved the veil puzzle. Now he will speak." Elias took a breath. "I'm not here to give orders," he said simply. "I'm here to work with you. But I need to understand the veil fully, not just the numbers, the behavior." One of the Illyrians, a tall male with silver streaks in his skin, stepped forward. "The veil consumes energy. It feeds on thought and light. It leaves only silence behind. We have watched it for centuries. It cannot be bargained with." "Maybe not," Elias said, "but it can be tricked." The room went silent. Elias walked to the center where a large projection showed the veil as a dark wave moving through space. "You see this as a wall," he said. "But I see currents inside it, flows of energy, places where it is weaker or stronger. What if we don't stop it? What if we lure it?" The silver-streaked Illyrian frowned. "Lure it with what?" Elias smiled faintly. "With something it wants even more than your worlds. We build a decoy. We feed it false patterns. We lead it away." Sarai's lips curved slightly. "A trap of light and thought." "Exactly," Elias said. "You've got incredible technology. You can project ideas, illusions, even entire ecosystems. You built that trial maze in my head. So why not do it on a bigger scale? Build a false region of space. Give the veil something to chew on." The scientists murmured among themselves. This was not how they thought. They built grand barriers, not illusions. But Elias's words planted a seed. Sarai turned to him. "You believe such a plan can work?" "I believe," Elias said, "that trying the same thing for centuries hasn't worked. This at least is different." The meeting went on for hours. Elias drew diagrams on glowing panels explaining how humans had once used similar tactics on Earth. Decoys in war, traps in the ocean, even computer simulations to distract attacks. He showed them how unpredictability was a weapon. He did not use complex words. He spoke in simple steps. He watched their faces as the idea spread. At last, Sarai raised her hand. "Enough for now," she said. "We will consider this plan." "Rest, Captain Drake," but Elias did not rest. He went to a small balcony outside his chamber and stared at the stars. He thought of Earth, of his crewmates, of the darkness moving closer. He felt both small and powerful at once. A human in an alien city trying to save civilizations. The next morning, Sarai came to him. "The council has agreed," she said. We will build your decoy, but you must guide us. You must show us what the Veil will believe. Elias nodded slowly. We'll need time. And a lot of energy. Sarai's expression became serious. We have both, but the Veil moves quickly. They began at once, in a vast chamber below the city. Illyrians and humans. Elias had called for 2 of his crew to join him, worked side by side. The chamber was filled with arcs of light and floating platforms. They were building a thing that had never been built before, a false star system, projected with energy and thought. Elias walked among them, explaining how to add noise to the signals so the Veil would read them as real. He told stories of Earth, how fishermen used shiny lures to catch fish, how soldiers built inflatable tanks in old wars to fool their enemies. The Illyrians listened carefully, their long fingers moving over control panels like artists painting with light. Days turned into nights. The city pulsed with activity. Above them, the decoy system began to take shape in the outer orbit, a shimmering net of energy, arranged like stars and planets. The Illyrians had the power to make it look perfect. Elias insisted it also needed to look imperfect like real life. Nothing in nature is perfectly symmetrical, he told them. If it's too clean, the Veil will know. Sarai often stood beside him, watching the work. You humans build in chaos, she said once. Elias grinned. Chaos keeps predators guessing. At night, Elias and Sarai spoke on the balcony about more than the Veil. She asked about Earth's oceans, about the sound of rain, about human laughter. He asked about Illyrian history, about their long patience, about their silent songs. A strange friendship grew between them, built on curiosity and respect. One evening, as the last components of the decoy were aligned, an alert rang through the city. The Veil had changed course. It was moving faster than expected. Sarai's eyes widened. It knows, she whispered. No, Elias said quickly. It doesn't know. It's hungry. It's coming to the bait. They rushed to the command hall. The projection showed the Veil curving toward the shimmering false system. Energy pulses flared along its edge like waves crashing on a shore. Elias's heart pounded. Hold steady, he said. Don't reveal anything. Let it think it's real. The Illyrians worked silently at their controls. The false system pulsed with light, feeding signals into the darkness. The Veil slowed, then swirled around it, like a predator circling prey. It's working, one scientist whispered. For hours they watched as the Veil wrapped itself around the decoy, feeding on the false patterns. Elias felt sweat on his palms. Come on, he murmured. Take the bait. Finally, the Veil shifted direction completely, following the false system into deep space away from inhabited worlds. The projection showed a clear path where it had been. The room erupted in quiet relief. Sarai turned to Elias, her eyes glowing bright gold. You did it, she said softly. You moved the Veil. Elias shook his head. We moved it for now, he said. But we don't know how long it will stay fooled. It gives us time, Sarai said. Time we did not have before. Time to find a true solution. Elias stared at the map. He knew she was right. This was not victory. It was survival. But survival was the first step. That night the city held a quiet celebration. Illyrians gathered in the streets, their humming songs rising into the silver sky. They looked up at Elias as he walked with Sarai through the glowing arches. They did not see a stranger anymore. They saw an ally. Sarai stopped and looked at him. When you removed your helmet, she said softly, I knew you were the one. But now I see why. Not because you are strongest. Because you are different. Elias smiled faintly. Different is what humans do best. They stood together as the twin moons rose. Somewhere beyond the horizon, the Veil was chasing an illusion. For the first time in centuries, the Illyrians could breathe. For the first time, Elias felt not like a visitor, but like part of something larger. A plan, a hope, a future. He looked at Sarai. We're not finished, he said. We've only started, she nodded. Yes, but now we walk the path together. And above them the stars burned bright, no longer dimmed by despair. The sky above Zyphira 9 was dark with swirling clouds of violet and silver. Captain Elias Drake stood at the highest spire of the Illyrian city, watching the horizon. Somewhere beyond the twin moons the Veil was returning, following the decoy that had bought them time. Its dark waves rippled across the stars, silent but threatening. Sarai approached silently, her glowing eyes fixed on him. It comes faster than we expected, she said. It senses the decoy, but it will not take long to realize the truth. Elias tightened his jaw. Then we have to be ready, not just to fool it, but to stop it. Inside the city, Illyrians moved with calm purpose, their minds working as one. Energy flowed along streets and towers, preparing the systems that would project illusions, traps, and patterns of thought into space. Elias walked among them, his human instincts guiding adjustments, suggesting new alignments and adding unpredictable variations. The Illyrians had knowledge, experience, and power, but humans had something different: unpredictability. Elias had learned from Earth, from history, from the simple ways humans solved impossible problems. And now that difference might save countless worlds. Sarai led him to the command chamber at the city's core. The walls pulsed with living energy. A massive projection displayed the Veil, dark and hungry, following the decoy into deep space. "We cannot attack it directly," Sarai said. "Our energy is strong, but not enough to harm the Veil." Elias studied the projection. "It doesn't react to force," he said. "It reacts to the